Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mets Central, your source for everything New York Met baseball. It is over at Citi Field. Double dip matinee at Citi Field. The Mets take both game one 1-0, game two 4-2. We take 3 out of 4 over the Colorado Rockies. Great win for our beloved New York Mets. We won 3 in a row. We're back to 4 games above 500, and we're looking forward for the Atlanta Braves 3-game series starting tomorrow. But let's talk about these 2 games, man. Let's recap game 1, recap game 2. I'm going to go over who I think were the MVPs of the game, what were some positive plays and some positive things, some things we could take away from game 1 as well as game 2. And before I get started, like always, man, I appreciate you guys drop a like, comment down below, let me know what you thought about today's double dip and moving forward from to the series against Atlanta. I would love to interact and talk with you guys, so make sure you comment down below. And if you have not as of yet, become a part of the community. It's a young community, just started the channel. Make sure you do so down below before you go. Subscribe. Also put on your post notification, that bell icon. Turn that on so this way you don't miss out on any of my upcoming content, which I'm going to always continue to do. Recap shows, pre-game shows. I plan to hopefully down the line, depending on the audience, maybe do some play-by-play during a few times a year. So I plan to have a lot of fun, any breaking news, so on and so forth. And I'm also going to try to stay on top of the minor league system and be able to give you guys an update of what I believe are some of the top prospects we got on AA and AAA at least once a week. So a lot of content coming your way. So make sure, if you don't want to miss out on any of that stuff, you become a subscriber to the community. It's totally free. All right, so let's recap. Game 1. Let's go with the final stats. The Mets win 1-0. It wasn't a pretty game. There was only 6 hits, 3 from each team. Mets finished with the line of 1 run on 3 hits, no errors. Colorado 0 runs on 3 hits and no errors. It was just really the MVP of the game. Obviously, it always starts with pitching. Stroman. The Stro show was in full effect today. He pitched very well. Deserved to win the game. I would love to see guys like Stro or DeGrom, when they pitch this well, they should get more run support. For whatever reason, we're not getting it done. And we already have discussed this here in previous videos, that the Mets MVP of the season thus far, after 40-some-odd games, it has been their pitching staff. They've been holding it down. Even with all the injuries, we still continue to be effective. And Luis Rojas and the pitching coach, Jeremy Hefner, have done an excellent job in managing their bullpen and making sure that we stay in these games. So again, kudos to those guys. They're getting it done. But Stroman, again, let's look at his numbers. 6 innings pitched. He threw 90 pitches, which is a little high, but not bad. He gave up no runs, 3 hits, 2 base on balls, and 3 strikeouts. He had fly ball to ground ball ratio pretty much higher. Obviously, he's known to being a ground ball pitcher, kept the balls down. He got 10 ground balls today as opposed to 5 fly balls. So that's pretty good. That's not bad at all. Usually he's in that 10 to 12 ground balls per game. So Stro was exactly where he's at. Stroman was where he needed to be. He was focused. When he has command and control of his pitches and he's mentally focused, he is a pretty good pitcher. He's not going to blaze anybody and strike out a ton of guys, but he will get those ground balls and the occasional weak, soft hit fly ball and be able to get outs. And that's what he did here today. So, not a whole lot of highlights. This is basically it. The other main highlight that I would have to say is spectacular play by Lindor in the 2nd inning. That ground ball hit hard up the middle. That's another way to help your pitcher out. And now, think about this for a moment. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it a lot during my videos, because I always analyze games just like I used to analyze them when I coached travel baseball. And travel baseball in New York is very competitive. So we're going to face some very, very good teams from all around the town. And it's no different. We're in the major leagues, college, high school. It does not matter. The focus has to be there. But when you have a pitcher like Stroman that is an emotional pitcher, okay, he can get down a little bit when he's not effective. But also, I would think sometimes when things don't go his way, like one of his teammates not making a play, not making a spectacular play. In this case, this was a spectacular play. Ground ball hit out up the middle, and then you got that high hop, and perfectly timed, Lindor makes a defensive stop. Now, this is the key point to take out of this. When you have a player make a play like that, and he's able to flip a ball and get a 6-4 put out, in that situation, that ball, if it would have gone through, you would have had runners on 1st and 3rd, and nobody knows, because obviously ended up going positive for us. We don't know if that was going to be a turnaround of momentum in the game and Stroman having a lapse, and then bam, nobody knows. That runner that would have gone through, would have went over to third base, more than likely could have scored on the next hitter if the other hitter either got himself a hit or not. We don't know that because it didn't happen, but that's the probabilities, and that's the 50-50 that you got to look at when you go back and look at a game and see why the defensive play by one of your teammates can salvage and help you keep yourself in a position to win games. And this is what you want to have. You want a good, solid defense. Lindor has been doing that. Granted, he's been looking horrible, terrible. He's been just intolerable to watch, in my opinion, because he's looked so bad in his hitting. But he comes through with the hitting. If he can get on with the fielding, if he can come back and start hitting a little bit, he will help us even more with on-base percentages and also advancing on the bases, because he's a good base runner as well. But we can't utilize his speed and his good base running skills if he's not on base. Even if he drags it and he can work out long, deep counts and get into walks and get on base, which I would love to see him do a little bit more, then at least do that much. But if I'm going to take anything negative out of Lindor, is that he needs to do that. Get into deeper in his pitches, put yourself in a position to get on base. But on the defensive side, he's been fantastic among a few other guys that we'll talk about in a minute. But that was a good defensive play that could have possibly saved this game, considering the Mets only scored 1 run. And if it wasn't for Jose Peraza's home run in the 3rd inning, who knows what could have happened? Who knows what would have happened if that ball would have gone through and that runner would have went to third, and we don't know what would have happened for the next at-bat and the next at-bat after that. That's the probability game, and that's why we have to always look at the defensive plays and say, did it make something substantial in the game as far as momentum or as far as keeping the other team from possibly not getting any momentum going and scoring. And that's what Lindor did there. And at the same time, it builds up even the confidence of Stroman, because Stroman will be an emotional pitcher. Now he sees that his boy's got his back. Lindor can be like, hey, I got you. And now he knows, hey, even if I make a bad pitch and the ball's hit very, very, very hard, a guy like Lindor or VR or Peraza or someone in the infield, even McCann, has made great plays. We've seen it day in and day out. These guys are starting to make big plays on the field, defensive plays that definitely down the line, if you look back at the scorebook, it could be substantial. So this is what's so important. So great stop there by Lindor, man. So enough of that. Let's move on. So in the 3rd inning, of course, Jose Peraza is the next guy to mention here. Obviously, he's the hero of the game with the 1 big hit. He hit the home run, his 2nd as a Met. And, hey, he was aggressive. I like the fact that he was aggressive in his first at-bat, because that's what you're supposed to do. You 3rd inning, the pitcher has had control for 2 innings. And all of a sudden, you get a chance to hit, be aggressive. The ball was a little bit on the inside part of the strike zone. He got the bat hit out there, the fat part of the bat, made great contact, hit it over the left field fence, 1-0 Mets. And that was the end of story there. Because after that, after Stroh left in the 6th inning, who comes in? Edwin Diaz. And Edwin Diaz, again, was pretty much lights out again. Diaz, what did he get there? Diaz threw 12 pitches, 8 of them for strikes, had 1 strikeout, and finished up the game. And he got himself his 9th save. Great job by Diaz. He's been very good this year as opposed to where he was last year. So you got to give him his kudos. He's doing a great job. And that all goes to Jeremy Hefner and, of course, good managing by Luis Rojas. People are always bashing Luis Rojas, but, guy's got a team 4 games over 500. He hasn't let them go under 500 since they've been over a 500 team or better. And he has all these injuries. Try coaching the team with... Well, there's teams out there, they got the full squads and they don't even have a 500 record. Look at the Twins that, they were one of the better teams last year. They're like 9 games, 10 games under 500. So again, you just don't know. You go out there and play. Good coaching will do that. A good managing would do that. He's been managing his pitchers from the bullpen well, and he's done a good job in mix matching and putting players on the field that are making things happen. Now, granted, can he push the players a little bit more as far as the fielding, as far as the hitting is concerned? Fielding-wise and pitching, everything's going great. If I was Luis Rojas, I will have a team meeting with my position players, the guys that start, the guys that off the bench that come in and play and pinch hit. We need to get it going, guys. Plain and simple. Sometimes these players need a big pep talk. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I'm sure he does, and he probably does it individually, calls them into an office to let them know, hey, you got to pick it up. If not, I'm going to have to replace you with someone else for the time being, let you get your mindset right. But being the mind is so powerful. You got to be totally focused, and you got to be ready, mentally prepared to go out there and play baseball. Any sport, individual or team sport, it's hands down. It's the number one thing. Just utilizing your focus, your concentration, and your brain just entirely for anything you do in your life is very important, because the brain is the key component for anybody. That's your computer. So very, very important. The mindset has got to be right. But let's continue on with the game. So Diaz comes in, they finalize it. So bottom line, game one, that's pretty much the highlights. There's really not much. That great defensive play by Lindor, that could be a game changer, and it was in this case because we only won by 1 run. We don't know what might have happened. Okay, and of course, solid pitching by Stroman, and Edwin Diaz coming in and closing the show. Notable mentions, we could mention, hey, Jonathan VR has been fantastic. I mean, he's done a great job. He plays great defense. He's a great aggressive base runner. Yeah, granted, he's been caught stealing a few times. A few times he's been caught because he's elevated off the bag and they placed the tag on him long enough to get him out. But, I mean, I think he's done fantastic. And his hitting-wise, he's come through time and time again with a couple of key hits or a home run or something. He gets it done. He's very scrappy. I love his defense. Kind of ball players you want. I knew coming in that that's the kind of player the Mets were going to get when we signed him. So that was in the same way I felt about him. I felt about KP with Pilar. As soon as he comes back, he's a scrap bar and he's going to definitely help us out. Tomas Nieto continues to hit. You got to give him some kudos here. He went 1 for 3, but he got another hit. Again, I think that's a few games in a row where he's had at least a hit. So he has been, consistent with at least getting a hit. In the 6th, then we go now. So that's the end of the first game. I think that was my recap on the first game. Not a whole lot to talk about. I think those are the key things that we could take out. Oh, the new guy, Billy McKinney, made a nice grab in the right field, running after a ball, going towards foul territory, made a great play. He was pretty solid defensively there, making a play. He did go for an offer in his first game as a Met, but I know in the second game, I'll discuss it in a moment, was one of my notable mentions in the second game. He did make another great play in the outfield. And at the same time, he did get his first hit as a Met. But game 2. So that's the end of first game 1. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought about game 1. Do you agree with me as far as the Stroman being probably the top dog to mention here, as well as those notable mentions? I would like to hear from you. In game 2, we won 4-2. The final numbers there. And game 2's final numbers. Let's see. I'm going to go over here. I know it was 4 runs. All right, the final numbers were Colorado 2 runs on 6 hits. The Mets 4 runs on 5 hits. No errors for any one of the two teams. Very, very solid in that second game. There were a couple of key things that went down in that second game that I really was impressed with. Obviously, we're going to start with the pitching. The Mets went out and decided to start Joey Lucchesi, who pitched Joey Fuego. Pitched a great solid game the last game. We pulled him out. He was doing so well. We said, hey, you know what? We're going to preserve him. We're going to try to build his confidence up. Well, today he had a little bit of a struggle. Pitch count was high. I think he finished with 70. 70 pitches deep in 3 2/3 innings. So it was a good decision. Again, Luis Rojas, keeping him there long enough, get him out, and they got him out. And again, the bullpen was just stellar, like always. I mean, after Lucchesi, you had Smith come in there. He pitched that 1 out in that top of the 4th inning, got that guy out, only gave up 1 hit. He pitched 6 pitches, got 5 of them for strikes. Then Aaron Loop came in the 5th inning. He pitched that 1 inning, did give up a hit, but had 2 Ks. He was solid for the first time in a while. Then Jerry's Familia came in. He was pretty solid too. Pitched 2/3 of that top of the 6th inning. And then what's at the top of the 6th inning? He pitched a full inning in the 6th. And then they left it for Gesellman. Now, this is a key thing. The Gesellman move with Barnes, both were warming up in the bullpen. Excellent idea by Luis Rojas and Jeremy Hefner. Why not have both of them up? You had a couple of guys coming up. If you had a couple of guys get at least a hit or 2, you will be coming to the top dogs like Ryan McMahon, who's been a nemesis for us. And he was prepared. It ended up working out perfectly. Gesellman did a good thing. He started off. He pitched. He got the first guy out. And then he actually got it. He got the first guy out, and then he eventually got on Charlie Blackmon. He got on Charlie Blackmon 2 strikes, and then eventually hits him. He gets 2 strikes on him. He gets a good fastball. Then he throws a nice changeup, gets him 0-2, and then all of a sudden he decides to go in on him, and he totally hits the guy. So now he's on first base, and now you start saying to yourself, man, what's going to happen now, man? What's going to happen now, right? So then he bounces back. He gets Hampson looking on a pitch. Then there's 2 outs. He still has that runner at first. And, man, lo and behold, Mr. Tapia comes up. He was all for 12 coming into this matchup. In the whole series, did not get a hit. He hits a weak line drive over the second base bag, over the second and first base side to right field, and gets a hit. And Luis Rojas did the right thing. He went and got Gesellman. said, hey, you know what? I'm not taking a chance with Gesellman, with Ryan McMahon, who has been a nemesis, hitting home runs in 2 games. They didn't want to take a chance giving him the opportunity to come up and possibly hit a 2-run homer to tie this game. So it worked out perfectly. Barnes comes in and he gets McMahon to fly out to left field on 3 pitches on a 1-1 pitch. He gets a little bit under it, doesn't get a good piece of the bat on the ball, and that's it. The game is over. So, I mean, I would say, again, the pitching staff coming through. You got 6 guys to pitch. They only gave up 2 runs on 6 hits. I think that's pretty impressive, man. Again, that is just keeping that earned run average as a pitching staff is still, it was coming into the series, I think, at 3.52, something like that. I think it's closer to almost 3 now. You know, it's like they have dropped a few points there. They have gotten better in this series. Again, the offense is the problem. We're still not getting enough offense. But we're going to discuss a little bit of some of the things that went on here. Then, as far as hitting is concerned, we got 5 hits. That was all. That was all in this game. And we got 4 runs, and 2 or 3 of those runs were base on ball, walked with the bases loaded. So, again, we're just not getting it done. We left runners on base. We have runners in scoring position, and we only score 1 out of 6 opportunities. So 1 for 6 is not good at all. We left a lot of men on base. You know, opportunities were there with bases loaded. We got the 2 walks. There was another inning where we had bases loaded. We didn't get anything. But it's been a rough go for some of these guys. In the bottom of the 6th, I want to talk a little bit about some of the guys in the bottom of the 6th. In the bottom of the 6th, there was a little bit of action. You had aggressive approaches by McCann. I love his at-bat coming up there. He hit that double down the left field line against Sheffield. And you know what? Sheffield was struggling, but he jumped on the first pitch. I am against that a little bit when a guy's struggling because he was missing his pitches a little bit. But he eventually got a good pitch to hit. He was aggressive, got a hit, ended up being a double down the line, and he needs that. So kudos to McCann. That was a well-struck ball. Mexica gets hit by Sheffield. Another good move. Luis Rojas obviously gets the slower runner out. He's got Lee in the dugout coming up from the farm system. Got great speed. Stole 50-plus bases last year in the minor league system. Why not? So Khalil Lee comes in. He runs the bases just in case we're able to get something out of the infield or drive a ball somewhere. Didn't pan out that way, but, you know, nonetheless, we have the speedster on the bases, and that's what's important. So that was a great move there. And then we have Peraza. He comes up. Peraza coming through again. His hit here was the key, again, for us to get 2 runs. He got another hit where, in this particular at-bat in the 6th, he got a base on balls with the bases loaded, so he was able to bring in a runner on a base on balls. But a great quality at bat on top of his hit earlier that he was able to get 2 runners in. So he's another star of the game. Peraza having another good outing. So he is the notable hitter here that we have to talk. I still think the MVPs of the game is the actual pitching staff, the 6 pitchers that came in, got the job done, holding the Rockies to only 2 runs. But when you look at hitting, you know, Peraza coming through again with 2 RBIs here was pretty much the difference in this game, just like it was in the first game. So he's kind of like the hero of the 2 games today, in my opinion. But he couldn't find it, you know, and the whole idea about that plate appearance in that inning is that Sheffield was struggling to find his pitches, to locate. He was having trouble. He was okay with his fastball, and he had more faith and trust and confidence in his fastball, but he was not locating and had no good control of his breaking pitches. His sliders was just tailing way out in the outside corner, and Peraza noticed that, and after he also saw that Mexica got hit, he realizes, hey, I'm going to be patient. That's the approach you got to have when you come to the plate, when you have a pitcher that's getting a little wild, has lost his confidence a little bit, has given up 4 bases on balls, has hit a batter. You be patient. Look for something to hit, but at the same time, you let the guy pitch. See if he can get out of it. See if he can throw a strike. You know, so it was a good at-bat. He stood up there, he battled, he got himself a base on balls, and he ended up getting a walk. So I thought that was critical as well. Maben comes up to the plate after that with the bases loaded for the second time in the game. He gets 3 great pitches, 2 good fastballs, juicy fastballs over the plate in his first 2 pitches, and he fouls them straight back. Just total mistiming, just slightly by a little bit. The guy cannot buy himself a hit as a Met. And then he finally hits a ball really hard to third base. And what happens? McMahon, again, the nemesis, deflects the ball, makes a stab at it, doesn't quite get it, and it bounces and it reflects over to the shortstop Rogers, who sets his feet and decides to throw the ball home and nail McCann for the force at home, which is an excellent play. McCann, a slower runner. Again, he had to freeze a little bit. The ball was hit pretty hard. You never know if it was going to be a line drive or not. So that's why he did not break right away on the hitting. And even with this, even if he had, you know, if he might have left a little bit early, he might have made it. But again, great play by Rogers, but bad break for Maben, hitting the ball hard and not getting it done. He hit the last previous at bat, hit the ball hard, did not get a hit either. So a rough day for him. He continues to get the offers, but he was able to get on base. And man, again, it just, I don't know, Maben, it's been a tough go for him. Then Brandon Drury gets up against Sheffield, and he battles with Sheffield. I think he got like 8 or 9 pitch at bat. What an at bat by Brandon Drury. I mean, he was up there. I think he fell behind. Then eventually started where he swung at 4 or 5 lovely pitches, kept himself in the at bat because he fouled them off. It was an awesome at bat. That's a battle. That's a battle that you got to have in a situation like this with men on base and in a game that is pretty close, and you want to be able to get yourself more chances to hit, is to foul off some balls, and maybe, just maybe, the pitcher will make a mistake. But he wasn't able to do it. He ended up getting a base on balls, and that worked out great. So we ended up getting 2 base on ball RBIs, and that's what tallied up the 4-1 score. And then eventually they were able to score a run in their last at bat. So I mean, again, like I said, the runners in scoring position, that's got to get better. We're not getting enough hits. It's the bottom line, man. Nobody's coming through big in big situations. Runners on second and third, bases loaded. We need to get through that, but somehow or another, we're getting enough runs in. I like that we've been patient in some of the at-bats, because that's one of the reasons why we're one of the top teams in the league as far as base on balls. We're able to take pitchers deep. If everybody can do that, including Lindor, who's been really struggling, if he can work those counts deep, like I mentioned before, he could find himself in a position where he helps his team by getting his on-base percentage up, by getting walks and getting on, because he's a good base runner. He could probably steal some bags. And not only that, it's just changed the whole mindset of the game, the different approach of the pitcher. Now he's got to hold them on. It's a lot more for the pitcher to stay focused and engage in the game when you got good base runners on base, and you also got to focus on how you're going to approach and attack that hitter at the plate. So this is important, why the better base runners got to get on often. The Khalil Lees, the Lindors, the guys, VRs, they got to get on base, because they could be aggressive as base runners and base stealers. They're going to put a lot of pressure on the pitchers, and sometimes that is a negative. It's just something that really some pitchers can't cope with, and there's some that are very good bulldogs. They'll keep throwing over, keep throwing over, and eventually they get you out by picking you off, or the catcher throws you out when you decide to run. So a lot of things. This is what baseball, to me, is the greatest game ever created. It's the greatest game. It's just so many variables you got to look at, so many things you got to strategize in. It's not the easiest game in the world. It's very difficult to play. But at the same time, when everybody's playing so well and everybody comes together as a team, man, it's just a beautiful thing to watch. And again, like I said earlier, the first sign of defense and the first best thing you can possibly have in any team is you have to have good pitching, because that's going to take you a long way. And good defense is the second part. Your players, those eight other players on the field behind that pitcher, got to be able to tell that pitcher, hey, don't worry about it. If you fall behind, go after them. If they're going to hit the ball hard, I'm going to make a play. I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to scrap. And that's what you want to see, and we're doing that so far on the left side. On the right, the left side of the field, Lindor and VR have been just unbelievable, making plays. And at first base, McCann has made a couple of stabs. Dom has done well. Pete has done some great plays there as well. So we've been having good, solid defense among the players on the team. And then the outfield hasn't been too bad. We had some good speed. Fargas got hurt. He ran down some balls. KP was making spectacular plays in the outfield as well. Conferto's pretty solid in right field. We get these guys back, we're going to have good defense, and it starts with pitching. We get those other pitchers back. I'm telling you, this is going to be a very scary Met team in 2 to 3 weeks if we can get some of those pitchers back and we can get some of those players, starters back. But these guys are holding their own, the Perazas, the VRs, guys that are not playing every day when those regular guys come back. These guys have been big. They've been really big, and I've been really impressed. And I've been impressed of how Luis Rojas has been able to handle all these injuries and being able to still pull out games. So again, kudos to the Mets, man. That's pretty much it, man. Congratulations, New York Mets. Let's go, guys, man. 3 in a row is freaking great. I love it. I wish we could have swept this whole fucking damn series, but we didn't do it. But we got the Atlanta Braves coming in, the nemesis. Tomorrow we got to deal with Ian Anderson. Great ground ball pitcher. Is the top one in the MLB at about 59% of the balls hit by him or from his pitches are ground balls, and we've been hitting quite a bit of ground balls. I just hope we hit them hard enough and find some holes tomorrow. Maybe we can cut some in half and drive the ball a little bit. The good thing also is that we are at home for this 3-game series. I look forward to it. Right now, after the game today, there's no decision yet on who's going to pitch tomorrow. If not, I would have discussed it a little bit here. But we'll see what happens, man. I'll be back tomorrow with tomorrow's recap. If I have time and I can do a pregame, preview of the game and the matchup after I know who's going to be playing and who's pitching. If I have enough time, I'll do that. And then, of course, I also will still have the recap show after. But if not, I'll definitely watch the game, do all my scoring, and then have a recap video for you guys after, man. Again, thank you so much for watching, man. Make sure you drop a like, support the channel. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought about today's games, about the 2-game sweep today, and us taking 3 or 4 from the Colorado Rockies. Let's go freaking Mets. And, of course, if you have not become a part of the community, come aboard, man. Join the community. The only thing you have to do is subscribe. Make sure you put on your post notifications, and I'll see you guys on the next video, man. Peace out.